start at the front. Tell me when it's
Go.
Go. Right. The snail and the whale. Look at the lovely pictures. Look at the whale. Isn't he gorgeous? He's spouting his water. Where's the snail though? Can you see a snail? I can't see a snail. There must be one here somewhere. Let's open the page and see if we can see it, shall we? The snail and the whale. Beautiful fishes. And that whale again, spouting water. What have we got here? This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big big grey blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot. And this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. And it gazed, oh dear, and she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep, the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny little snail. I think you should start again. Right, let's discuss what's on this page. We've got seagulls and a little boat. That's a fishing boat, I guess. And these seagulls are eating something off these big rocks. And we've got a lighthouse here, so as the boats don't go too close to the shore. Right, let's continue. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wriggle. Sit still, stay put." The tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll let you lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a slithery snail that looped and curled and said, "Lift wanted around the world." And said, "This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. A humpback whale, immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." There's the snail. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Oh, that's ruined that. Right, oh, look at the penguins here, look. And you can still see the snail on top of the whale. This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on the tail. I can't.
You need the water.
Yes, please. To towering icebergs and far off lands. Oh, look, there's a seal. Cuts. With fiery mountains and golden sands. Oh, look. A volcano. There's Monkey Moo. And a turtle. Oh, still the snail on the way. Cheers. Right, let's begin again, shall we? These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. Still there, hanging on for dear life. These are the caves beneath the waves, where stripy fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideouts, toothy grins, and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam round the whale and the snail on his tail. It's a very shiny. This is the sky so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. You can see the lightning here, still hanging on. And what have we got here? Got some parakeets. Have I missed a page? No. And she gazed at the sky, the sea and the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and gazed, amazed by it all. And she said to the whale, I feel so small. But then came the day the whale lost his way. There are speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with the ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. Oh no, look, he's got beached. Seagull's having a bit of a laugh, thinking, haha. And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. Quick, off the sand, back to the sea, cried the snail. I can't move on land, I'm too big, moaned the whale. The snail felt hapless and terribly small. Then I've got it, she cried, and started to crawl. I must not fail, said the tiny snail. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher, holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board, as black as soot. And this is the snail with the itchy foot. A snail, the teacher turns pale. Look, said the children, it's leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a slithery trail saying, save the whale. Do you think this teacher looks a bit like Ellie Rose Williamson? I think she's probably got hair that's a little bit too long. But the shoes are lovely. These are the children running from school, fetching the fireman, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. That's cool. This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting, hooray! And the whale and the sail travel safely away. Look at him, he's off into the water now, and they're all giving him a good old wave. Look, handkerchiefs in their hands, giving him a good old wave. What do you think about that, Freddie? Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said, how time's flown, and haven't you grown? And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice, coral caves, and shooting stars and enormous waves, and of how the snail, so small and frail, with her looping, curling, slithery trail, saved the life of the humpbacked whale. Then the humpbacked whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. Trail, whatever. And they sing to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the grey-blue humpback whale. For everyone, for everyone, at what's Freddie's place called? At where he goes to kinder? So we leave that bit out. We'll just talk about the fish, shall we? They're wonderful. Look, both smiling.